let's kind of use Varys to weave back to Dany. Again, strange teleportation going. I have to mention this one, though, because it was bizarre when he was on the boat with her at the end, with Dany. Just because that seemed like...
Wait, who? What am I forgetting?
Varys.
Was he?
Yes.
Oh my God, I missed that.
No, that's what we were talking about.
He's already back with her?
He's already back with her.
Oh my God.
It was so strange.
Clearly, I was like just in shock from everything else happening in that episode.
Zipped back there to be. He's like, I need to be on the cool group shot on the boat.
Well, understandable. Oh, right, because they were taking off with a bunch of Dorna's ships, right? I think there were some in the fleet. There were some yellow
might have been. There might
banners.
have been. I almost felt like they should have put Elena in there too, because it would have made it more. It would have made it less jarring than having just Varys, because it just seemed like he flew back there.
Yeah. Well, maybe she sent a dragon to pick him up.
There you go, Dragon Express. But we talked earlier a bit, but I do want to talk about Dany. We've talked for a few weeks now about getting more and more powerful here, and now she finally consolidated all of this power she's been gathering, the forces she's been gathering, and set off, for Westeros. It's got to be queen versus queen now, right? You don't end the episode with
It's got to be
queen
happening. Bowl. Like, we keep slapping bowl onto the thing that...
I do not support this bowl thing, guys. I'm sorry.
You aren't hip with the Reddit kids.
I'm not with the Reddit bowling.
Yes, and we aren't talking about, 9-pin. We're talking about these two queens clashing. And yeah, I want this. Like we talked last week about how it really is, power to the ladies this season. And, who's to say whether the women are going to be better rulers than the men, but there was something very validating, as much as she got there in terrible ways, of seeing Cersei finally sitting on the Iron Throne, which is what she's always wanted and always said she would be better at. She's not. She's not better than anyone else. She's going to be a terrible ruler. But and same thing with Dany, finally getting everyone together. And I'm glad they had that tender, moment of uncertainty between Dany and Tyrion. I feel like that was really necessary, especially this is a season where we haven't been inside Dany's mind. We've been very removed from her, and we've been more in the minds of her advisors as we're watching it. So to finally come back in and feel like we're closer with her as she's getting ready to do this big move, I thought was really necessary. Yeah,
I do think, now you inevitably have to have some sort of showdown, whether it's a literal one-on-one physical showdown, probably not. But Cersei and Dany now in such positions of power.
That's what I imagine.
Dany's not doing that.
Yeah, Dany will suck. No,
I mean, 3 dragons.
Cersei will sucker punch her.
Right. But yeah, I really like that scene with her and Tyrion. It was a very, warm, endearing scene. It was a great scene for Tyrion, who a lot of people had observed, had done such a great job against all odds as Hand of the King, and then of course got nothing for it. The
Hand of the Queen.
Hand of the Queen
made me really emotional.
No, it was one of the most emotional scenes I thought in that finale, and just a great scene for the two of them. It was so exciting when they even met for the first time on this show, and now they were apart for a lot of this season, but this was the first time we got to see this sort of warm one-on-one scene between them in a while, and it really, I thought, was important to have in the middle of this jam-packed finale. And then Dario, it was interesting, her sort of leaving him behind only as much as
smart.
It was smart. And I do wonder, when you go into next season, again, another reason it feels like we're heading towards the end is maybe we'll see Dario again, but maybe not. It's or maybe we'll see him at the very end. But it seems like there was a lot of deaths in this finale, and Dario is an example of them leaving a character behind and just being okay, it's time to start paring down, right?
Speaking of pairing, though, there was that interesting comment where, clearly Tyrion speaking through Dany, but talking about how the best way to make alliances in Westeros is going to be marriage. Yes. A lot of people have been shipping Jon and Dany since the very beginning. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, why are you calling her Dany? She's called Dany in the books. That's, it's just written as Dany. So we feel close to her. We feel like we're on a level where we can call her that.
That's my girl, Dany.
Yeah, it's like, is she my boo? So really the only powerful man left alive, other than Jaime, which I don't see her going Targaryen in this way, is Jon, though. That was my first thought, and then we got to everything, the whole King of the North of it all, which we'll get to in a bit, but that was my first thought. There aren't many eligible bachelors in Westeros that actually could really help her through marriage, which I feel like such a shipper even saying this, but marrying Jon Snow would be a very smart move for her.
Right, unless it does become a she marries Tyrion thing as a Lannister.
That probably would be the first time anyone has married their hand.
Right. But she's going to be a very
your minds out of the gutter.
Very progressive. That's a whole other story. But it will be, she'll be a very progressive queen and make some changes to Westeros, and she can marry her hand.
I can't wait to see how long it takes for you to stop giggling about that.
Yeah. Now I'm just imagining like the weddings. Do you, Daenerys, vow to love your hand.
Sorry, guys.
To the end of time. It's a Sunday night and we're at work, guys. But yeah, so I thought again, it was like this was a scene that we've been waiting for so long. Finally, her on her way, and so it's so gratifying to finally come here.
That was the thing where I finally was like, oh, it's happening.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the great game now, as Tyrion says, but it really feels like we as a viewer, like, you know, every step has been really tentative up until this point. There's been so much, like, it's very circuitous journey to get until this point, but we're here. It is happening. Like, it is just Cersei and the Starks in the north and Dany and the White Walkers. There's like not that much that's going to distract from the point at this point.
No. Yeah, and they didn't show the White Walkers here, but they didn't have to because they were talked about.
Yeah.
So.